Welcome back to the Rational Boomer, the YouTube edition. And today we had a fairly eventful day. It was the start of the Donald Trump impeachment trial. But in fact, it really wasn't the start of the trial. You see, today they had to debate and decide on the constitutionality of actually having the trial. Now, you see, Donald Trump's defense team suggests that it's unconstitutional to try Donald Trump because he is no longer president. And there's a problem there because there is precedence. In history, there is a government official who was impeached, left office, and then was tried. So that's not going to work. Now, the other aspect is that Donald Trump did in fact get impeached while he was in office. It was that he didn't have the trial till after he left office. And why is that? Well, the House impeached Donald Trump, then went to then Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and said, "What do you think?" He said, "Oh, yeah, we got to have a trial. I'm definitely interested in finding out the facts of this thing. We must have a trial." They said, "Well, let's set it up as soon as possible." He goes, "Oh, you know what? We can't. We have no time. So we'll have to set up the trial sometime after the inauguration." I said, "Okay, whatever. What are we going to do?" Mitch McConnell runs the Senate, and the Senate is the ones that have the trial. So we come to today, well after the inauguration. Donald Trump's out of office. Joe Biden is in. And now Mitch McConnell and 43 other senators say, "Oh, yeah, it's unconstitutional because Donald Trump's out of office. Man, you should have done this earlier." You see what's going on here? Diversion, distraction, bullshit, chaos. They've done this to us for 4 years, and they're still trying to do it. Well, times are changing. After this impeachment trial, that isn't an option anymore. Democrats have control, and they aren't going to be allowed to get away with this. So we look at the lawyers or the representatives in the case of the prosecution. It's Representative Jamie Raskin and Representative Joe Neguse. Now, these people put together an impressive case. They were well organized, well prepared, and performed well in front of the Senate. They even had a 13-minute video that pretty much laid out the whole case, proved the case, and wrapped it up. If you haven't seen that 13-minute video, it's very compelling. You need to take a look at it. Check here on YouTube and you will find it, and it's worth the watch. Now, the defense attorneys for Donald Trump, they're a little different story. First, there's Bruce Castor. Now, you may have heard this about Bruce Castor. He was a prosecutor that refused to prosecute Bill Cosby. And if that weren't enough, he also testified for Bill Cosby in a court case. Yeah, he's a solid guy. But anyway, he started out. And the best way to describe how he was in his presentation was meandering and nowhere near the point of this whole debate. He wasn't very articulate. He certainly wasn't prepared. And again, he never touched on the actual points in this case. It was painful to watch him. And then there was David Schoen. Now, David's a little different kind of lawyer. He's more intense. He's very angry, it seems, and he's dramatic and uptight. Now, this is a guy, now he's a Jewish gentleman, understand this, but he at one time represented the KKK. He also spent a lot of time representing the mob, the Colombo family. So he's got a great track record. As I say, he was a bit more fiery, and he was ranting and raving, but again, nowhere near the subject at hand. And the reason why neither one of these guys could really address the issue at hand, because they've got no answer for it. There is no defense. Now, the final vote on this debate was 56-44 that it was constitutional. That means there was 50 Democrats and 6 Republicans. Now, you remember when they had the previous vote, it was 55 to 45. So there was one Republican senator flipped, and that was Cassidy. And he did it because he watched it and he saw that the Democrats did a wonderful presentation and the Republican defense team for Donald Trump did a horrible job. So he made the only choice that his conscience would allow him to make. So they flipped one Republican. So that means that that issue of constitutionality has been decided. Should never be discussed again. Now, that said, these defense attorneys will probably bring it up a lot, mainly because they've got nothing else. Yes, it's been decided, but they got to say something, and that's pretty much all they've got. Everything else they have has been proved to be not accurate or not reasonable for a defense. And as I said, amongst the people who voted, we've got 50 Democrats, 6 Republicans, and 44 Democrats who voted that they thought this trial was unconstitutional. And among them, surprise, surprise, our good old buddy Mitch McConnell. Now, you see Mitch McConnell side with us or seem to be reasonable from time to time. Understand, you can never trust Mitch McConnell. He can't even trust himself. He can't keep his ideas and concepts about what he thinks straight. So if we ever decide to trust him, we're making a big mistake because you can't. Now, what I found interesting was I'm hearing reports that Donald Trump was not happy with his defense team. And that's not a big surprise because they did a shitty job. Donald Trump was screaming, ranting, and raving, and we haven't even got into the trial yet. We were just talking about the constitutionality of having a trial. So the trial is going forward. Donald Trump is not happy. There's going to be 8 days of testimony, possibly witnesses, and a lot of video. And I have to tell you, this video is very compelling. You saw a lot of it on TV, but I think we're going to see some things we haven't seen. There's going to be information exposed that we don't know, which may make it harder for senators to vote against conviction. Now, according to the vote we saw today, it seems likely that Donald Trump will be acquitted, and the reasonable bettor would suggest that. But here's the problem. These senators aren't standing by Donald Trump because he's a wonderful guy, they believe in him, and they support him. They're standing by him for one reason and one reason only, because they think it's going to help their next election, whether it be 2022 or 2024. Now, if what comes out in this trial is so serious, so compelling, and public opinion starts to switch, you can bet these senators will switch, because all they care about is getting reelected. And if they have to step on Donald Trump's head to get there, they are going to do it. At this point, they're afraid, because they're afraid they're going to piss off Donald Trump's voters, 73 million. They'd like to tap into some of that. And as long as they believe they can do that, they will stand by Donald Trump. It's only if they can change public opinion to make people believe that Donald Trump is truly insurrectionist, insider, and seditionist. If they can make people believe that, then it's going to be harder for them to vote for Donald Trump. It's going to be interesting to see how the next 8 days go. We'll stay on top of it. You stick with us with the Rational Boomer.